Welcome to the next video. I hope you enjoyed last week's, and here we go with video 6. For our warm-up today, we're going to begin with some mobility for the arms, adding a little bit of rotation. So soft knees, your feet are hip width apart. You can take them wider if that's more comfortable for you. And just bringing your arms ahead, one hand on top of the other, as if you're giving someone a hug, and aren't we all missing that? And then as you exhale, taking your arms wide, and we bring the arms back. And you're going to take your right arm up to the ceiling, your left arm down to the floor, rotating the ribs, sending the fingertips either direction back to the centre. So centre, hug here. We go here and back. And then changing sides. Left arm comes up to the right and back to the centre. So really encouraging our spine and our rib cage to move. Make sure your shoulders don't lift. That lovely flow of the arms. One arm up to the ceiling, so it's that diagonal plane movement. And back, and we do one more either side. So open the chest and back. Rotate and spiral, and back to the centre, and in, and then to the left side, and back, and bring the arms down. It doesn't take much sometimes just to feel them working. Good. Now, if you've got any kind of object in your house, I'm actually going to use a spiky ball, but could be a coaster, just something light really, maybe an apple or something like that. And we just start holding on to that object and just a gentle bend of your knees. So if you find that balance is a little bit difficult or your knees are a bit of trouble today, then you can just hold on to this and go into squat position. If you feel confident enough, stand on your right leg and hold the ball in your left hand. And we're just going to have a little practice knee bend here, down and up. You could actually have your left toe down to give you a little bit of assistance if need be. But otherwise, we're now going to bend that right knee, place your object down on the floor, come all the way up, expect to wobble a little bit, pick it up with your right hand. There is absolutely no rush for this at all. And we come up and then pass the object from your right hand to your left hand. And we do that 3 more times. So it's a bend of the knee. Remember, you can have the toe here. Down and up. And we pick it up with the right hand. And you come up. Very, very strong, challenging exercise. And again, bend down. Place it down with the left hand. And up. You're going to wobble because that is your body working to stop you falling over. And we pick it up. I can't remember if I've got one more, but we will do one more. And down and up. And picking up. Pass it over. Ooh, well done. Shake the legs out. So changing sides. Feel free to turn that left foot out a little bit if you like to. Starting with the object in the right hand. And let's just have a little practice. So you could just have the toe there. And you can do the whole exercise balancing on that right toe, just to give you that little bit more stability. Just want to turn to the side just to show you the first one, that when you're doing this, you are bending the knee to place the ball down, okay? So we're going bending through that knee joint. Coming up, you will need to engage your core, and then picking up and coming all the way up and passing it over. What we don't want to do is this kind of thing. This is a hip hinge. That's a different exercise altogether. So it's like a squat, but a single one. So let's do 3 more on that side. We did 4 in total, better do 4. That was just a demo. Right, so finding your stability. And when you're ready, bending down, placing that down. Sometimes it helps just to fix your gaze. Something, hopefully your object's not rolling away. Bending down to pick up. And to switch. And I might be a little bit slow here. And coming up. Picking up. Left hand. Going up, passing through. Gently does it. 2 more to go. It's fun. And last one. Down and up. Down. Woo, good stuff. Shake the legs out a little bit. Right, we'll just put that to one side. And then we're just going to do a little bit of rotation for the upper back. So soft knees now, gentle bend of the knees, both feet on the floor, and just to sway the arms side to side. So if you want to just do arms only, if your legs are a little bit tired after the last exercise, absolutely fine. Or you can add in that soft knee bend and turn and turn and breathe out and breathing in. Turn. And we'll do one more either side and back. Placing or keeping your feet hip width apart, a stretch for the back just before we move on to the next exercise. Clasp your hands together and just turn so the palms are facing away from you. Tuck your chin to the chest and scoop your tailbone under. So from side view, just something like this. Might want your legs a little straighter than mine. Really feeling as if you're getting kind of pulled gently from around this area. And then rolling up your spine, take your hands to your lower back and send your chest forward and up. And you might find that your eye gaze just looks that little bit higher. What we're not doing is that. That's for a yoga class. You can squeeze your shoulders a little bit. And then release, shake the arms and legs out. Now finally we're going to move on to a lunge balance. This is what I call it. It's a sequence, and if you find it a little bit challenging, I'll show you the modifications. We're actually going to repeat this 4 times each leg, and I'm going to show you from side view. So it's again very much about strengthening your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes at the same time balancing. So begin by bringing one foot in front of the other, taking your opposite leg behind. How wide you have your stance is up to you. There's also a little bit of balance needed, so you could do this as I am, just with a wall by the side to hold on to if need be. Tuck your tailbone under and just try a little practice lunge. You've got to be very mindful that your pelvis doesn't do that. So nice and level in the pelvis. Neither are you leaning forward, so it's just a down and up. Now I'm going to add an arm movement. We raise our arms up, we bring them down. You can turn that supporting foot out a little bit. Start to hip hinge forward, and you can actually keep the lower foot on the floor if you wish, shoulders back. If you're confident enough, lift the back leg. And pressing the thumbs into the chest. Not about the height, it's about the stability, how you feel. And then we bring the leg back to position. Okay, I'm going to do that 3 more times. So it's arms up, into prayer position. Find your balance. Engage your core. Try not to twist. Again, not an exercise to rush here. And lift. Just for a few breaths, bring the leg down. You're really working into this supporting buttock muscle. 2 more. A lunge and down. Sliding forward. Do you want to keep the toe down? You can do. This is still balancing. Back. Last one. I'm struggling more with the coming back bit and down and forward. It can help as well to fix your gaze on something on the floor, just to help you with your stability. And back down. Good. Whew. Change sides, body temperature up. Hope you're doing all right. My mat's gone a little bit skew with. So changing sides, always good to have a little practice knee bend first. Check your pelvis is level, that your front knee isn't going over the toes. Over the ankle is fine, but not the toes. And then when you're ready, arms up, arms down. Now really connect your thumbs to the chest. That gives you a little bit more stability. If you're not sure, keep the toe down or lift the leg. Bring the foot down. You probably noticed, as I have, which is your stronger leg. We did that balance exercise earlier as well, so a lot of work there. 2 more times. Bend. You can go deeper into the lunge if you like. Hands connect. Core engages. Sometimes we get really tempted to lift the hip as well. So with the back leg, I would encourage you to lift from the thigh bone. Last one, let's make it the best. Up. Arms down. Using your tummy. When we switch here on, that really helps us stabilise through our centre. And bring the foot down. Woo! Shake the legs out. My goodness, well done everyone. Now we're going to do a sequence of movements which can all be adapted, involving predominantly your core and your upper body with a little bit of a stretch thrown in as well. So beginning with the roll down, as always, tuck your tailbone under, engage your core, ribs in, chin to the chest, soft knees, and just start to roll down gently. Easy does it. And moving from here into a box position onto your hands and knees. Option number 1 is to keep your knees on the floor and to flex and extend your back. So really good for mobility in the spine. Making sure that you're working this area and it's not all just going into the shoulders, so that lower back needs to move as well. Option 2, if the wrists are okay, curl in your toes, push the mat down, lift through your centre and hover your knees. So as you can see, I'm only lifting mine about 1 inch. I'm trying to avoid pushing too far forward. From here, we're going to go straight into downward facing dog. So now lift your tailbone up to the ceiling, walk your hands in about a hand length, and avoid your shoulders doing this. So we're going to open the shoulders and just feel free to kind of move around a little bit there. And you should be feeling a stretch in your hamstrings, your calf muscles, a little bit with the back. If there is any dizziness or uncertainty, come back to the box position, either stretch or you can do the swimming move, which is in the previous videos. However, moving on. From your downward facing dog, we move into our plank position. Now I'm demonstrating on my hands, but of course you can move onto your elbows. You have your knees down. I'm just holding for a few seconds. You can actually bring your knees down or stay in your long leg plank, bending your elbows in towards your hips in one way or another. Hopefully we're going to end up on our tummies. Your hands can either stay here or they can be here. Slide your shoulders back. Just extend your back. A few seconds. Bring your chest back down. Push up and then sit back, your bottom towards your heels into child's pose. And you know you've got the option always as one fist on top of the other or the hands, the feet. I'm going to continue with that a couple more times. So let's slowly roll up now. In fact, sorry, I'm changing my mind. You could do a squat up or a roll down up. I'm just going to demonstrate the squat up here. So either have your hands just by your sides or out in front, harder. Harder still in this position, pretty challenging here. So I'm going to demonstrate my arms out. Push through the feet and come back to stand. And we'll do that again. So starting off with your feet hip width apart, tuck the tailbone under, and up and over. Just going to stand on, breathing all the way. Dangling arms, if that feels good. And where are you going from here? Are you going to stay with your knees down, or are you going to hover the knees? So it's either knees down, remember earlier, the flex and extend, or the hovering the knees, just for a few seconds in your core. And we raise the tailbone up to the ceiling. Ease your hips up and back. You can walk the hands a little bit. Really open the palms. Watch your shoulders, don't do that. We're going to widen the shoulders. Take a few breaths. Now from here we move into plank, so I'm going to actually stay on my hands and my feet this time. Just going to tuck this in so you can see what's going on in the back. And plank position. Bring your knees down or your elbows. From here, when you're ready, bending your elbows, and then we go into our forward and up back stretch. Pushing up and into child's pose. Walk the hands back. So it's either a roll up or a bending the knees squat up. I'm going to roll up this time. Feet are hip width apart. And lifting your belly button up to the spine. Restack your vertebra. All the way up. Never neglecting the back of the neck or the back of the head. One more time. And the next time we won't come up. So, here we go. We know what we're doing now, hopefully. Rolling down. Lovely stretch. Hands and knees. Is it knees down or is it hover? Body weight is back. We don't want our head to do that or our knees to lift too high. And downward dog. This time, if any of you'd like to, you could bend one knee, and whichever is the opposite leg, you're going to really lift that hip up to the ceiling, heel towards the mat. Please don't worry if you can't get your heels down. It really doesn't matter, it's how it feels, not how it looks. And then switch. Plank. Bring your knees down this time. And a bend to the elbows. And forward and up. Remember, you can be on your elbows if the wrists have had enough. Back down. Push up. And just finish that, feeling very pleased with your efforts there, everyone, in child's pose. Good. So we're going to do an exercise for the glutes, and if you do have a loop band, then you can just put that around the middle of the thighs, and I'm demonstrating without, but obviously that makes it a little bit more challenging in terms of resistance. Do what you can, and if there's any problems, just stick to the normal bridge with the lift and the lower of the back. So I call this the 4-point move. You're going to lift your back, not pushing too high into the shoulders, with your feet hip width apart. Bring your knees together, separate the knees to the hip width, and then lower your back down so your tailbone doesn't quite touch the floor. So it's up, together, hip width, lower. And we squeeze, 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 release. So up, together, knees, out, knees, lower. And a lift and together and out and lower. Probably about now you're beginning to feel the effort up, together, out, lower. Be really careful not to push up high into your shoulders, not a good idea. And I would encourage you to keep your body weight going that direction towards your knees. Let's do 10 more. Up, together, out, lower, and 9. Out, chest is soft. Out, lower, together, out, lower, and 6. And 5, together, out, lower, and 4. Don't want anyone having neck ache. So it's best I keep telling you what to do. And 3 more. Up, knees together, out, lower, and 2. Together, out, lower. Last one, together, out, lower. Certainly should have warmed up these muscles. Next, bring your feet and knees together. This time this involves a little bit more of your inner thigh muscle and your pelvic floor, so more kind of the centre as opposed to the glutes, although they're still working. Feel free to edge your heels in a little bit closer to your seat bones. This time we squeeze up for 1, a little bit higher for 2, a little bit higher for 3, lower the tailbone down so it's just hovering. So it's 1, 2, 3, lower. Squeeze, 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 release. Together, 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 release. Let's do 10. They were our practice ones. Up, 2, 3, lower. Up, 2, 3, and lower. 1, 2, 3, lower. Squeeze, 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 release. Together, 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 release. And 5. Up, lower, remembering to breathe. We forget sometimes. Think this is 3. And last 2, make them the best. 3, lower, last one. Together, together. And bring the tailbone down. That felt good. Bring your knees into the chest. And if you just need that little release, a rock side to side. We like to keep your back moving a little bit more. 3 or 4 circles around the back. And then the opposite way. And then bring the feet to the floor. Now we're going to move on to an exercise called the 100. That is a Joseph Pilates original classic exercise that we don't often do in class because it's quite involved. But again, as always, there are variations, so I hope you're okay to follow me with those. The first one is to keep your feet on the floor and just have your arms by the sides with your palms facing down. Now, this is very much about, as you're moving your arms, your core has to contract and engage to stop you moving around and kind of working in your neck or your spine or your rib cage. So we're going to do 10 pulsing like that, and then we turn the palms up. Probably be more or less than 100, who knows. And then I'm going to just adjust the versions as we go along in terms of the legs, but the arm movement pretty much stays the same. So starting off, feet on the floor, palms down, reaching those shoulders back, lengthening through the fingertips, and we go. 1 and 2, as if you're bouncing something down. 4 and 5, palms up, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, palms down, and 2 and 3. I'm lifting my legs, 4 and 5, to tabletop, and 2, palms up, 3 and 4 and 5, palms down, and 2 and 3, and just going to go through the breathing this. Palms down. You can curl up. 3 and 4 and 5. Palms up. You can extend your legs if you can manage. It's down, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Palms up. I hope you're all doing great. 2 more sets, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and last set. 3, 4, 5, and rest. Oh my goodness. Fantastic. Just have a moment. This next exercise is called the mermaid, and it's for mobility, particularly between the armpit and the hip. It's really important that you're not feeling uncomfortable or too restricted in the hips, because if you are, that is very likely going to limit you in the movement itself. So in the textbook, the position is similar to this. So if that's comfortable for you, you can sit like that, great. And if you are a little bit, as I'm slightly lifted on this right side, maybe you've got a pillow or a top or something, instead of putting it under the right side, you'd put this under the left, just to allow that seat bone to drop down a little bit. You can also swivel this leg around, and if you're still feeling a bit compromised, just sit in a comfortable position. You know, whether that's cross leg, long legged, you can even sit a little bit higher on a block. Really doesn't matter. So you're on your magic carpet, pushing the arms down, widening your shoulders, and start by reaching your right arm up and just gently bend the arm to the left, and then we change sides. Feel as if there's a balloon on your head, floating your head up to the ceiling. And being careful that your pelvis just stays nice and stable. What a lovely stretch. So you go a little bit further with each one. Opening up the ribs. Probably one of the most complicated positions to sit in. Now on the next one, if you feel up to it, you're going to raise your right arm. Now we add in some rotation in this right side. So again, check that that bum cheek doesn't lift up. That's going to stay down. And start to thread your right hand through between your left hand and your left hip. Your eyes can follow the direction that the arm's going in. And then we reach up to the ceiling. So diagonal. And again, follow that through. It could feel a little bit stiff because we don't have the freedom here to move our pelvis. It stays still, so we're inviting other muscles to mobilise. And 2 more, please. Are you going that a little bit further? A little bit easier? I hope so. Last one. And then back. Good. So we change sides. Expect your opposite side to feel different. Now I'm kind of quite lopsided here. Rather than put the pillow there, I'm going to sit in this position. And you could sit cross-legged, straight legs, knees bent, or on something a little bit higher. Here, we just do a little bit side to side first. So your fingertips are reaching up to the ceiling, but your seat bones are really grounding down into the floor. Going in that opposition gives you space in your body. It's so important, as is the breath. And you can either bend the supporting elbow or you can slide it. Just be careful not to collapse. But be careful you don't collapse through that supporting side. We'll do one more either side. And then from here, now the left arm threads through between the right hand and the right hip, turning your body, looking at the direction of the fingertips, and then up towards the corner of your room. Wide, and again, rotate. Not too much of the shoulder, use the spine. Maybe you've been doing your Pilates really regularly and you're feeling lovely and flexible. Or you might have just done certain exercises, as I have, and some could feel a bit more challenging. But we're doing it now, and it's all good. And 2 more. And last one. Rotate, 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 rotate. And up. Bring the arms down. Bring the legs in, whatever you need to do now. It's a shake of the legs or a hug of the knees. And just have a moment there. Well done. This is another classic Pilates exercise, which we don't actually do a lot in class. It's a traditional one. And it helps extend the hip that is here. So it gives you a stretch there while working your glutes and hamstrings. and then getting some strength into the back muscles. It does involve you turning your head, but you can miss that bit out. You can actually keep your head down, do the legs only, or just the upper body. Absolutely no problem at all. So begin by lying on your tummy with your head turned to one side, and if possible, clasp your hands behind your back here. Now, not everyone can do this or wants to do it, so you could have your arms here. You can also have your head centred. Then, ideally 2 legs, but that's a problem, 1 leg is fine. Just going to do this slow motion. Scoop your pelvis forward, bend your knees with pointy toes. We're going to float the feet up. Slow motion here. Flex the feet like a little kick towards bottom. Point the toes and then lower the legs. Now from here, you can have the feet lifted a little bit or down, that doesn't matter. Turn your head to the centre. Send your hands towards your heels and your chest forward and up to extend your back. And then turn your head to the opposite side. So I hope you can still hear me. From the beginning, with the head down on the other side, toes, heels, toes. Lower the leg, rotate your head to the centre, lift from the chest, really reach those hands towards the heels, a little bit of a shoulder squeeze, but we don't want to do that kind of thing. So lift and turn the head back to the start, rest the legs down. Feeling good? All right, let's carry on. Let's go. So toes, heels, toes, extend, rotate. I'm going to keep my feet slightly lifted. Shoulders go back. Top of the head goes one direction. Feet go the other. Turn the head to the side. Relax the legs down. And again, toes, heels, toes. Rotate. And lift. And turn. Just picking up the speed a little bit. Toes, heels, toes. And rotate. And lift. And turn. Toes, heels, toes, back. Rotate. So whenever you're lifting your chest, your head is centred. Now you can carry on with that. Alternatively, keep your head down and do the legs only. Toes. And then you can just rest and repeat that again. If that's a problem for your knees or your back doesn't like it, you could just do the dart exercise where we have the hands here, thigh bones pressed down and lifting your chest. So the good news is we can always change things. I'm just going to show that one more time. Head to the side. Toes, heels, toes. You might get a bit cramp in your feet. Rotate, drop, and raise. And turn. Toes, heels, toes, and back. Last one with the back extension. And bring your chest down. Hands here. Push up and we take child's pose. Very good. Great effort, as always. We're going to begin with a tricep stretch and the different ways that you can do this. So the first option for the right arm is to bring your right arm forward and take it across your chest. You can either just gently hold this in with the palm of your hand or just sit that in the crease of the elbow, which is slightly stronger. If that's not doing much for you, reach your right arm up and bend your elbow. I'm just going to turn this way so you can see. So it'll be this. You want to avoid your elbow pulling forward or back. And then what you could do is to then lift the left arm and just touch, if you can reach just the tip of the elbow, and you'll let that arm slide down a little bit. So I'll do it this way. Just be here. And it's good just to turn your head a little bit to make sure that your neck isn't compromised. Rib cage is down and in. Easing that back. It's a really good stretch. And then we change sides. So the first one for the left arm is the arm forward. Take it across the body and either bring your hand to your tricep or just sit that in there. Make sure your shoulders are down. Alternatively, reach the left arm up, bend the elbow, and you can bring the right hand to the elbow and ease that back. So it's usually around this area, not always the tricep, sometimes a little bit into the shoulder. You could actually, one more version for you, is to bring your hands together, but just check that you're not standing like this. Otherwise we're going to shorten our back. So when we lengthen our spine and contract our abs, we get a true stretch. What is that? I'm just going to turn this way. Just show you that final version. Turning your head, making sure that it's not stuck in a difficult place. And then bring the arms down. Moving on to a calf stretch, you may want to do this against a wall or holding onto a chair. Bring your right foot in front of you, left foot behind, and just check that your pelvis is aligned, that you haven't got one hip more forward than the other. You can just support yourself, hands on the wall. Check that you're not doing that, so the shoulders drop down. And you can even bring your foot a little bit further. This can make it stronger. And then just gently bending your front knee. The back leg stays lengthened. So encouraging you to push that heel down and just holding for a few moments. Always good to hold a stretch for a minimum of 30 seconds. Generally in classes, I'm looking at about a minute. If you don't feel that, you take the leg back a little bit further. So it's good just to step in and do a bit of a comparison before you change sides. And then we bring the left foot in front, the right leg back, bending the knee. Ooh, tighter for me on this side. Easing the heel down. And you can kind of play about scooping the pelvis forward a little bit. You might get a bit of a hip flexor stretch. Bending the front knee, back leg stays straight, hips aligned. Pushing that heel down. Do check as well that your toes are facing forward, that you're not in that kind of turning out or rotating in position. Last few seconds. Good. Step in. Oh, I feel so nice. Actually, you've been doing a lot of walking. I call this next one legs up the wall. And the first version is for your hamstrings here. And then the second version is to stretch the inner thighs and the groin area. So if you do have a mat, just getting that relatively close to the wall. In fact, I'm going to turn mine this way. Hope that doesn't mess up the filming. And then you have to get a little bit close to the wall here. So the best way to do this is to sit nice and close to the wall and then swing your legs around. And the closest you can get your bottom to the wall, the better. So you might have to do a little bit of a shuffle there. And then legs up the wall, your feet are about hip width apart. Wonderful stretch, lots of reasons. Not only are you stretching your leg muscles, because the legs are lifted, the blood is moving away from the legs, and also because your legs are supported by the wall, it puts less pressure into your lower back. So we're just going to hold here. Very relaxing. So maybe this is something you might want to do at the end of the day. If you have had a bit of a busy day, finding all these jobs to do, aren't we? Really nice, soft ankles. You don't have a timer, or you're not sure how long a minute is, just gently breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, somewhere between about 20 and 30 times. So you will notice, without tensing your feet up too much, that if you bring your toes towards you and reach your heels up, a little bit stronger, calf as well. Now from here, we move into the inner thigh stretch. So now you start to take your legs wider and turning your feet, knees and hips out. So we're going to try and avoid being in that rolled in position. We want to open up the hip sockets. And what can be really nice is to reach your arms over your head. And just holding. So now you should feel, as I said, more. This muscle is called the adductor. And the job of the adductor is for us to bring the legs together. So this needs a stretch, as does the groin area here. And you might just want to close your eyes and take a few breaths into the nose, out through the mouth. So a little breathing practice that I do myself sometimes with my meditation is to breathe in for 4, count for 4. Try and hold your breath for the count of 5. And then exhale slowly for the count of 6. So just call that 4, 5, 6. If that's quite new to you, you might want to try a 3, 4, 5. So breathing in for 3 counts. Holding for 4. And exhaling slowly for 5. A few more breaths. Breathing in, counting for 3 or 4. Holding your breath gently to the back of the throat. It's neither an inhale or an exhale, it's just a pause, just a moment. And breathing out. Carefully taking your arms back, and you could bring your hands to the outside of your thighs, softening the knees, and just use your hands to assist the legs come together. And this is the fun bit to come out. So easy with your back, whichever way is good for you. Coming up to a seated position. Just shuffling your back against the wall, have the legs out straight. Just taking a few breaths, turning the palms up, opening the chest. And then from here, we're going to go into a little bit of spine mobility. So this was just a moment as you've been lying down to come up to this position. It's always, give ourselves time to move from one position to the other. You have the pause button, which is good for you to use. From here, I'm just going to put my mat into the correct position and onto your hands and knees. And I'm going to give this one a name. You might have heard me phrase this as pencil in the tailbone. So I'm going to stick with that. So imagine we've got a pencil in the tailbone and start to do a little clockwise kind of circle or oval. Just doing this slowly, you'll start to notice if your knees and wrists are okay with your weight distributing in this way. And you might feel confident enough to start to take your body weight back a little bit and to the side and up and down. I remember learning this and my teacher was saying, just explore all the moves. There's not a kind of right way. You can lift, you can twist, you can turn, you can stop. And then we go the opposite way. So if you're not sure, it's just that little circle around. There is always the cat-cow stretch.
we start to increase our range of movement. It can drop, twist, turn. Our spine is designed to move in many different planes of movement. Often we just get stuck in certain positions, or we get very good at some and tight in other areas. Breathing all the way. Moving your shoulders, your neck, your head, your ribs, just all those muscles, bones, soft tissues working together. And we'll do a couple more. And then just back to the stillness. And just sitting on your bottom. Either cross legs, long legs. You should feel lovely and relaxed now. No doubt you did a wonderful job there. Thank you very much for joining me.